Hi, my name is David Ragg and I'm a full-time flower lover from the UK. I've been trading in my business for 25 years this year, and every day we still learn something new in our wonderful floral world. Today I want to share with you a beautiful funeral design. I'm going to be working on this OASIS base that is made specifically for funeral designs. It's been soaked in water. This means that you can create a lovely tribute or design for the top of a coffin or even just for the graveside. The first thing I want to do though is just to trim a little layer off the OASIS foam here. So using the super sharp OASIS knife here, just going to very carefully just take a centimetre or two off the height of this foam. Now it doesn't have to be exact. The next step with this design is to take your sheets of your bark veneer and just cut into some triangular shapes. You can do these different sizes. It doesn't have to be exactly matching. So I would suggest you cut quite a few to start with. I'm just going to be inserting this into the foam just around the edge. They may be moved around a few times, so you've got to make sure that all your work is very secure and safe. Okay, the next stage, once you have your outer shape of the bark around the base, I've got here this woolly fibre, just tuck in amongst these little bark slices, and it's really just to hide any little bits of foam. If you need to secure it in, obviously you could always just pin it in with a wire. So this would go all the way around. The next stage is to take some long twigs or branches here. I'm just going to lay these across the design. Now these need to be secured into the OASIS. So taking a little bit of bind wire, wrap a little bit around the stem of one of the branches, one end and then the other. And then taking a florist wire, so I'll place the florist wire through the bind wire here, and then the same the other end. And you can secure your branch into the foam like that. And then you can do the same then with the other branches, just add them in, attach them either to the foam or even to another piece of the branch. I can just tie this here with the bind wire. So once you've attached your branches across the design, you can start adding some of the beautiful flowers. And we're using these amazing Cascade Cymbidium orchids from LZ Orchids. Beautiful soft colour. Amazing shape that they form. These can be placed directly into the foam, and we're bringing them out through the design, so they're going to be running across the design like this. So as I say, just trying to bring out the length a little bit. This isn't going to be an enormous tribute, but we're really making the flowers the star of the show here. Now you'll notice, of course, there's lots of space under here still, so we've got to look at how we're going to be covering some of the OASIS foam. As I say, Galex are really good for this kind of work because they're relatively inexpensive. They add a lovely little shape to layer in underneath. The other really cool thing with the Galex leaf is that you can roll it into another form. Just fold the two ends over and then roll it into a cone in your fingers. So you get another lovely sort of shape. And you can group and cluster these together. I'm just working amongst the stems of the orchids on the design. So I'm also going to use just a few of the Anthurium leaves off this plant. And because they have a slightly longer stem, we can introduce these into the design, just leave them slightly elevated, following the lines of the orchids as well. Okay, the next flower I'm going to add into the design are just a few of these beautiful crystal blush Zantedeschia. So they're going to be added in low down, just get those stems to bend. You get this lovely sort of arc of that soft green stem sort of floating above some of the other flowers. Just pushing them gently into the OASIS, and then they should really just carefully rest on the top here. This can just be brought out a little bit longer again. It's nice to use materials like this which have very little visual volume, so you're not crowding the design. Basically just coming all the way around the edge of this piece with the fern, and then just a few little tufts of the fern as well, just to bring this up into the centre of the design. And now with the eucalyptus berries, smaller little pieces. If you have a lot of leaf on the stem, you could trim a few of those little leaves off. And then with the Diplocyclos vines here, just going to place these in. They might not even need securing, but if you can get one of the ends into the OASIS, then great. And these are just going to be very gently draped over the top of the other materials. And then finally, just a little tuft of the dried grass going through the design. I'm not adding it straight in, I'm following this kind of to and fro movement across the whole piece. It's all about layers and movement on here. I mean, you can make this bigger, you could make it slightly smaller. There's lots of little detail and simple techniques that I'd love for you all to have a go at. Remember to enjoy what you do and have some fun and experiment with some materials as well. But certainly with the funeral tributes, be imaginative and offer your clients something different, and I think that's where the florists can really show their strengths. So I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I've enjoyed making this for you, and I'll see you very soon on Flower Factor.